I, 17F, have always had a complicated relationship with my dad. My parents married after I was born, hoping to build a stable family for me, but they divorced when I was 11 after my dad went to rehab. Things only went downhill from there. During rehab, he met his current fiancée, and they later had a daughter together, who is now 6 years old. Since then, my dad has been mostly absent from my life. Whenever I had important events, he either had an excuse or simply didn't show up. If I had to estimate, he's missed more than half of my significant moments since the divorce. A few years ago, I was diagnosed with scoliosis. At first, surgery wasn't necessary, but over time, my condition worsened, and I was finally scheduled for surgery on November 20th of this year. I told my dad months in advance, expressing how much I needed his support this time. He promised me he'd be there. But later, he texted to say that he had planned a vacation, one that would keep him away until mid-December, just when my recovery period would be ending. That news shattered me, but I forced myself to accept it. Then, 2 hurricanes struck his vacation spot, forcing him to cancel his trip. He told me he would now be able to make it to my surgery, and for a brief moment, I felt hope again. But just a week before the operation, he sent me another message. His fiancée's lung cancer surgery had been scheduled for the same day, just a few hours before mine, at a hospital 30 minutes away. He said he might not make it to my surgery, but I already knew what that meant. In his world, might not usually meant won't. He added that it wasn't a matter of loving one of us more than the other. But that message crushed me. It wasn't just about love, it was about actions, about showing up when it mattered. That was the moment I finally understood that no matter how much I wanted to believe otherwise, my dad might never be the father I needed. I broke down on my kitchen floor, feeling completely defeated. After letting my emotions settle, I texted him, pouring out everything I had bottled up for years. I told him how deeply his actions hurt me, not just this time, but over and over again. I explained that love isn't just about saying the right words, it's about showing up, about proving through actions that someone matters. I asked him if his fiancée's surgery had truly been scheduled last minute, or if he had known earlier and just hadn't told me. Given his history of lying to save face, I reached out to someone who might know the truth. I followed up with another message, clarifying that my frustration wasn't with his fiancée, it was with him. His repeated absence, his broken promises, his failure to be there when I needed him most. I told him that even if his reasons were valid, he could have at least shown some empathy instead of making it seem like my pain was just an unfortunate inconvenience. Finally, I told him something I had never been able to say before. I was done chasing after a relationship he clearly didn't value. I told him that if he wanted to be my father, I would gladly be his daughter. But if he chose to continue as he always had, then I would be okay with that too. He hasn't responded. And honestly, I'd rather he sit with my words for once. Maybe, just maybe, this time he'll actually think about the impact he's had on me. I needed my dad at my surgery, not just as a presence, but as a source of comfort, reassurance, and a reminder that he was there for me. He still had the opportunity to show up, to prove that he could be the father I needed. There was a chance. But deep down, I knew how this would play out. When he is confronted with his mistakes, when he is called out or criticized, he shuts down, withdraws, and grows cold. And true to form, he likely wouldn't come. I reached out to his fiancée, wishing her luck with her surgery. Then, I spoke to someone who would know the truth about the timing of her procedure. They confirmed what he had told me, he wasn't lying this time. That was it. I had no more words for him. And he had none for me. He never responded. Time passed, and life moved forward. My surgery and recovery went well, and I'm grateful for that. I've been in therapy since I was 12, so my therapist already knew the long history of disappointment that came with my dad. But no amount of preparation makes it easier to face the reality of a parent who repeatedly lets you down. It's strange seeing my story shared across different platforms, accompanied by fast-paced games like Subway Surfers. Even stranger is reading comments from people who don't know me but insist my dad isn't a father at all, just a biological donor. Across the internet, people have formed opinions about him, and the sad part is, I can't even disagree. Senior night was coming up. scheduled for Valentine's Day. Weeks in advance, I told my dad the details. Games typically start at 7 p.m., but I would be arriving 30 minutes early because the ceremony would likely take place before the game. I even reached out to his mom, Mama, to ask if he was planning to come. His response: "Oh, I never got a date. She doesn't tell me anything." It was a blatant lie. I had told him multiple times. If he truly cared, he could have asked. He could have written it down, set a reminder, made the slightest effort. But he didn't. And I wasn't going to chase after him, begging him to show up for me. I told Mama I would go and see for myself if he bothered to come. But I refused to hold my breath. I was tired of my mom staying neutral, acting as if this relationship was worth salvaging. It wasn't. I needed her to be honest with me about why he acted this way. There was nothing left to save, so why keep pretending? My dad loved to play the victim, twisting reality to make it seem like my mom had pushed him out of my life when, in truth, she had spent years encouraging him to step up. When I was younger, I saw messages, text after text of my mom pleading with him to be a father. He ignored them. Just like he ignored me. When I finally showed my mom my first post about all of this, I think she realized just how much I had been holding in. I see her differently now. She isn't just my mother, she has been my father, too. The sacrifices she has made for me, the love and stability she has given me, I owe her everything. And one day, when I walk down the aisle, it won't be my dad escorting me. It will be her. When it's time for that first dance at my wedding, it won't be with the man who abandoned me. It will be with the woman who never did. For those who don't know, Senior Night is a special event where seniors choose people to walk them across the gym floor in recognition of their achievements. My dad walked with me for a false senior night before, but this time, he would not be one of my chosen people. The night came and went. My dad realized I hadn't asked him to walk with me, and suddenly, he was upset. But it wasn't about me, it was about his ego. When the moment passed and the game started, he, Mama, and my little sister left during halftime. He didn't even stay to watch. We had done the walk before the varsity game, and since I was in pep band, I couldn't leave the stands until the third quarter. The same rule applied when I was in marching band. Mama knew this. She had been to my basketball and football games before. Yet, she left anyway. My sister had begged to see me, but my dad refused her. That was what hurt the most. After the game, I left my dad a long voicemail and message, expressing my disappointment, not just in him but in Mama, too. She knew how these games worked, yet she still chose to leave. And he did what he always did. Monday came, and I made a decision. I sent my dad a final message, setting clear boundaries. Then, I blocked him. I know this will be hard. I know there will be moments when I break down and cry. Letting go of the hope that a parent will change is never easy. But I also know this. I deserve better than a father who only remembers to care when it suits him. For everyone who has supported me through this journey, thank you. Your words, your encouragement, and your understanding have meant more than I can ever express.